Hello and welcome everyone to this week live with Dr. McDougall. I'm Gustavo Tolosa from Dallas, and today we have a very special webinar with not only Dr. McDougall, but his lovely wife, Mary. Mary is the co-founder of the McDougall program, and of course, Dr. McDougall is the founder of the McDougall program and the writer of many best-selling books, and of course, one of the best sellers is The Starch Solution. And the new book is coming up now in September, so we're really excited about that. And without further ado, I want to welcome both of you, Dr. McDougall and Mary McDougall. How are you doing today?
Well, yeah, good.
Good?
We're together and I get all this help today.
All right.
I really have nothing to say.
I can't believe that for some reason.
No, that's not true. He always has something to say.
Well,
I was gonna say we did the dedication to the new book, The Healthiest Diet on the Planet. I just got I got a question as to whether or not we were going to be environmentally conscious and oriented in the new book, and my answer was this book, the dedication, is dedicated to our 7 grandchildren, because the world is ours to save, and the healthiest diet on the planet, if it gets the acceptance it deserves, because it's going to have Dr. McDougall's color picture book in it and Mary's pictures of Mary's recipes.
Some pictures of recipes.
First time that a book had 12 national best-selling books, and the first time a book company has agreed to or asked us to do pictures of Mary's recipes. And how many recipes do you have in the new book?
I think there's 50 recipes in the book, but there's only going to be 25 pictures. So
it has the potential. They're very simply written, deals with things like why are the other diets a bunch of garbage is the word we agreed on, right? The books like Wheat Belly and the Grain Brain and the Paleo Diet books. I directly attack them for you in a chapter, and also dealt with some of the governmental issues, like, for example, why the USDA promotes Americans to eat as much as they can in terms of nutrients, and what they're talking about is protein and calcium and fat and even cholesterol, and that's what the dietary guidelines for Americans in 2015-2020 is. And I think I also mentioned to you last week that the Chinese government and their dietary guidelines people to cut their meat consumption in half. So that gives you something to ponder about as to why our longtime enemy China is more environmentally conscious and more concerned about their population than is the friendly, always good United States of America. Anyway, the book directly deals with that, and also the color picture book is in there, as well as some of Mary's new recipes.
yeah,
So it'll be good. I think September 28th it'll be available. Probably be sent out by Amazon usually when they have a pub date.
You can already pre-order it on Amazon.
Yeah,
right.
I have to tell you that we were going to talk about simple recipes today.
Yeah.
And all the new recipes in the cookbook are not simple.
They're not.
No, they're not.
They're not like we usually eat.
For special occasions, right?
Well,
But some of them are simple, but not all of them are.
So it's a little more elaborate for like special occasions, or inviting people over or something like that.
Or the other thing is, Gustavo, is some people really like to spend time in the kitchen and cooking and being creative. For Mary and I, it's as we've said so many times. What did we have last night for dinner?
We had sliced cooked new potatoes, and over that we had a bean dish, and that I made in my slow cooker. And I'll just show you, okay? Just let me show you.
Yes, there is the
Here's my
the new toy.
Rusty, at least 20-year-old. No, you see the front. 20-year-old slow cooker. All right. You hold it on the front. It has a little dial here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It says high, low, and warm or off. I've been using this thing for 20 years, and the thing I like about it is it really makes meals simple, because in the morning I throw in a package of dry beans. I don't soak them overnight or anything else, so I can choose any kind of bean that I want. I kind of pick through it, make sure there aren't any stones in there, and then I add 3 times as much water as beans, and I let it cook on high all day.
All day.
And then, maybe a half an hour before we're going to eat, I throw in a can of any kind of chopped tomatoes.
Right.
And that's because I ran out of the dehydrated tomatoes from our garden last year.
Right.
And I throw in my favorite seasoning. Oh, I forgot to bring them. I'll have to go get it.
Why don't you go get it?
I'll go get it. And then I add a handful of greens that are chopped from our garden, like kale or chard or something like that.
You forgot to do that last night.
I forgot to do that last night, but that's what we had over our potatoes, and it probably took me 5 minutes to put it together.
Why don't you go get this, guys?
Okay.
Yes, while you get that, I will ask you a question, Dr. McDougall, that someone has here. It is about people that have had already bariatric bypass surgery. How do they do with this way of eating?
Okay, if you go to my Star McDougallers, there's a Star McDougaller. His name is Mike Wilson. And it should be in alphabetical order. So you just go down the written Star McDougallers, Mike Wilson. And I took care of him initially about 35 years ago. And he'd had a very severe intestinal bypass surgery. They used to, I don't know how it compares to today, but it was a very dramatic surgery. And he still couldn't lose the weight. In fact, he gained it all back. And you'll see some pictures that'll just blow your mind. He was like 450 pounds. And he dropped to probably 160, 180, and he's been in phenomenal health since. You don't have to add extra nutrients because this is the most nutrient-dense diet there is. You know, if you think of nutrients as protein and calcium, which is all garbage from the food industry and the dietary guidelines, the USDA, and so on. If you think that as the nutrients you need, which I've told you so many times, there's no such thing as protein or calcium deficiency, then you might worry about a starch-based diet. But you think about nutrients in terms of real nutrients, vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients that people need. This is the most nutrient-dense diet there is. So when I take care of people who've had bariatric surgery, I don't supplement them with any extra vitamins. They just eat the diet as is. They're going to lose an awful lot of weight, which may be of concern because they don't have a proper intestinal tract anymore. So then maybe at that point, they might have to add some more calorie-dense foods like nuts and seeds and avocados, but not until that point.
Right, right. Okay, great. Because people do wonder if they have to do anything different or change anything because
they've been through the torture of the medical business. Now they can get on with. And I don't mean that some people aren't helped with bariatric surgery.
Right.
I mean, there are lots of people who don't know about or will not follow the kind of diet that Mary and I recommend. So, you know, the bariatric surgeons are there to help, and they certainly do cause weight loss. They also cause a lot of trouble, a lot of sickness for people. And, you know, it's a tough life before and after bariatric surgery. And of course, bariatric surgery cures type 2 diabetes, but so does any weight loss program. We talked about that. You can wire your teeth together.
Right.
Lock the refrigerator. There are lots of ways.
There are many ways to lose weight. Right. Dr. McDougall, are there any specific meals that a person with the Hashimoto's disease should consume on a regular basis, or just?
Well, no, not really. Hashimoto's thyroiditis is an autoimmune disease.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's due to eating foreign thyroids. And foreign thyroid glands, well, they come from pigs and cows. And
right.
How do you eat them? They're called hot dogs and sausages. The body reacts to those foreign thyroids. and that's how it works out. Did you bring?
I did.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right,
let's
I
see.
have a little story to tell about this too. This is called Kirkland Organic No Salt Seasoning.
Can you put it a little closer to the computer so we can see? Oh, there. All right.
And it has 21 organic spices and seasonings in it, no salt. And because you can see that it's Kirkland, you can usually buy it at Costco.
Right.
Well, the last time I went to Costco, I couldn't find it. So I went on Amazon and I found it on Amazon, and you can buy it
Oh, wow.
on Amazon. So
What
and
else did you?
it's my go-to seasoning mixture whenever we have beans of almost any kind, except sometimes I use chili, but usually this I just dump in.
You just
Dump in a bunch, and it covers everything.
It
got so
covers
many
everything.
different
Wow.
seasonings.
What else did you get at Amazon the other day that you were going to show us?
My what?
You were going to show us something else that you got at Amazon.
Oh, that I got on Amazon?
Yeah, the new.
Oh, but I mean, it's really not fair because I mean, it's really cool, but I haven't used
You
it.
haven't used it yet?
But Heather
And
has.
Heather uses it all the time. Chef AJ uses it all the time, and everybody raves about it. So
Yes, I'm about to get mine as well. You're right, Chef
Do you
AJ.
use it, Gustavo?
Huh?
Do you use this?
No, I'm getting it actually this week.
Are you gonna get one?
It's called an Instant Pot.
It's amazing. That's all I can say. I've seen
Well, that's
Chef
what we heard.
AJ.
It does. Well, I want to read what it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it does everything.
It makes soup. It
Does
makes
your
beans,
laundry.
chili,
It does your laundry as
it
well.
slow cooks. It pressure cooks. It steams things. It makes porridge. It makes rice or multi-grain rice. It sautés. And so supposedly it does everything. So the next time
Yes.
I do a webinar, I'll have tried it out.
You're gonna tell us exactly how
And
it
then
works.
there's something else that's really neat that I found. I don't usually advertise things, but look at this book that I found on Amazon.
Oh.
It says OMG Good Instant Pot Meals, Plant-Based and Oil-Free.
Yes, I know that book. That's really good.
So it has like 38 recipes, and it's just a really easy book to look through, all simple
Right.
things.
It looks like the kinds of foods we eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are perfect.
A good way to start with your Instant Pot.
Your Instant Pot, very good. And then Chef AJ recipes, and she has some free videos so people can look at them on their website.
If Chef AJ loves it, it's got to be
She,
great.
yeah, well, we did a webinar on Tuesday, and she showed us all, the audience, how she puts that in her carry-on on the plane.
Oh,
Because wherever she goes, she travels with her Instant.
no,
Does it not-
they come in several different sizes, and so I just
Yeah.
bought a medium-sized one.
Oh, that's a medium size. Very good. Well, what else what other types of cookware do you use, Mary?
Well, I use stainless steel if I'm going to be sauteing in any kind of liquid. So
Right.
if I'm going to saute some onions or some peppers or something in some kind of a liquid like vegetable broth or water or something like that, I'll just use stainless steel. But if I'm going to be cooking something dry, like pancakes or burgers where I don't need any liquid, I really need a good nonstick pan. And my favorite pans are made by Scan Pan.
Right.
This is a ceramic titanium. So it's not Teflon, it's a completely different process. And nothing sticks to it. So this is my griddle. And I'll make burgers on this or pancakes.
I can
then-
testify to that because I have that same one.
And,
And
and then I have a
great.
saute pan
Yeah.
made by the same company. Scan Pan, again, you can buy them on Amazon. And for dry cooking, it's what you need.
Right. Right. It's perfect. Really, nothing sticks to them. So
No, nothing sticks to them. They're great.
really good.
And
Very
you want to know what I cook with?
What do you cook with?
Nothing.
You are the lucky one.
You know, what I do is I open a Dr. McDougall's right food soup. I put boiling water in it. That's my cooking.
That's your cooking.
I just I tell you, thank goodness for Mary.
Thank
Otherwise,
goodness,
it would
man.
be, well, otherwise, you know, I would probably figure out some way to work that smoker, and I would probably find a few good restaurants, a few good Mexican restaurants in town, and I would probably lose 15 pounds, and I can't afford to do
Right.
that. So,
Well, you know,
thank goodness we're a team.
yeah. You would probably learn how to cook rice.
No,
Or
no, I would take it out of one of those
Oh
plastic
yeah,
bags.
you know you can buy
You
frozen
can now
rice
buy every, right.
already cooked, already
And you can
brown.
throw about 6
Throw it in the
potatoes. You can put it in the oven, and that's your potatoes right there.
But I have to add, there's one thing I do. I have 3 gardens, and I probably got 30 tomato plants growing right now, which nobody could ever eat 30, you know, the product of 30 tomato plants. So what I do is, as they ripen, is I cut them up, and we have a dryer. We probably should have brought that up too.
Well,
A dehydrator.
Yeah.
A dehydrator. And so I take the tomatoes, dehydrate them, and they last. In fact, we just went through our last tomatoes from last season, and what Mary does is takes scissors and cuts them up, puts them on about half an hour beforehand.
About half an hour before we're going to eat our to reconstitute.
Right.
And easy, delicious. And the name of our dehydrator is Excalibur.
Oh, Excalibur.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to know, you can find them on Amazon.
Right. Just
And they
about
come
everything.
in all different sizes. You know,
Wow.
3 tray, 5 tray, 9 tray.
Exactly.
And
Well, we know that you both that eat very simple and maybe repeat meals often. Would you share just a few ideas, Mary? That's a common question among listeners.
She will tell you what we have every morning for breakfast.
we have oatmeal every morning for breakfast
With blueberries.
with blueberries.
Yeah. Not my first choice, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, and in fact, I don't know what my first choice is. I guess it is my first choice.
Well, no, I used to. If I feel ambitious, I'll saute up some shredded frozen hash browns in one of those saute pans that I just showed you, and he likes that.
And put some sriracha sauce on it.
Yeah.
And there's some oil or fat-free barbecue sauces. You know, most of them have sugar in them, but you can also put plain salsa that you buy in the grocery store on top of that, and that's a good meal. But you have to have a special skill, I think, Mary, to do the potatoes like you do. We just got back from the Alaska cruise. We talked about, we went there a couple of weeks ago with a group of 62 McDougall followers, and they just never got the hash browns right.
They overcooked them.
Right.
They wanted to get them brown, so they tended to overcook them, and they got too crispy. You have to get them just right.
You do.
But
There is an art.
I've been making hash brown potatoes for 40 years, so.
That helps. But it's true, you know, basically the breakfast is just oatmeal or hash browns. And I'm sure then every now and then you have pancakes or something like that when the grandkids come once in a while.
When the grandkids
when
are
the
over.
grandkids are over, otherwise.
Otherwise,
It's
no.
too much trouble.
Yeah.
And occasionally, I'll have whole wheat bread that we buy from the bakery that's oil free, and I'll put a little bit of the jam on it. And occasionally I'll even put a little bit of natural peanut butter on it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, neither Mary and I really need to lose any more weight. So
No, you
natural
don't.
Peanut butter is something I wouldn't recommend for those of you trying to lose weight. But peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, especially for kids, they go over really well.
Yeah,
No
that's
butter.
true. Yeah.
Right.
But they are not on the maximum weight loss program.
And then for our dinner, our simplest meals is the one that I just told you that we had last night. Is
Right.
either potatoes cooked or microwave brown rice, and then with a different bean topping as a topping for it.
And I just want to add, you don't have to add the beans for protein. They're just very substantial in terms of being filling. They're very tasty, very familiar for people. So we gravitate towards bean soups, which also have a lot of vegetable matter in them also. And then of course the base of the meal would be the potatoes and the rice. You need to have that as a large part of your meal. And the bean type of soup or stew that we're talking about is something that is maybe half or less of what you're eating. Not that they're not good, but beans are they're very high in protein, and which is probably tolerated by most people. They're good for weight loss. They're very good for satiety too. People get a lot of filling from eating things with beans. But I'd like you to really emphasize, particularly if you're trying to regain your health, get rid of your type 2 diabetes, lose weight, is to really emphasize that base of rice or potatoes or sweet potatoes or other types of grains, and make sure that's a big bulk of your meal.
A meal could be as simple as a baked potato or two with some salsa over the top of it.
Or the grandkids really like sweet potatoes when they come over. In fact, they'll be over in about 20 minutes. Big smile. And they'll have sweet potatoes and broccoli.
Broccoli is what, yeah.
And Mary will make sometimes a sauce for them, a peanut sauce, dilute. When I say peanut sauce, this brings up a lot of argument between Mary and I.
Yeah.
We have peanut sauces that are made at our clinic in Santa Rosa. Occasionally, the chef really goofs it up, and it's even though you use a special kind of peanuts.
I use a special kind of dehydrated peanuts. It's called PB2, which has had the fat removed. And so what you do is you take out a scoopful of it. It tells you exactly how much on the jar, and you mix it with water until it becomes the consistency of peanut butter.
Or less.
But then you use that and you mix it with a liquid.
Yeah, right. But that's what really bugs me at the clinic when they make it so thick.
It's like peanut butter. Yeah.
And it doesn't taste better. In fact, it's less palatable when you make it too thick. But we make it at the clinic with a lot of liquid. And
rice vinegar and balsamic vinegar a lot of times. Just plain water and some seasoning mixtures.
Right. I've tried it, and I can tell you can eat that by itself.
Yeah, I know you can. You could drink it, couldn't you? I don't think that's the idea. But it goes over well when we serve the sauce. It's usually the first sauce gone at the at the dinner table at the clinic. Making it too thick is a mistake. You want to make it very thin. You want to use it sparingly because it is. Well, it doesn't have any fat, but it's pretty concentrated.
Well, it has some fat. It's way less fat than regular peanut butter, but there's still a little bit of fat in it, I think.
Yeah. Right.
I don't have hair and glasses.
So any chance I get to touch her?
you don't waste that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So basically, it's a very easy. You arrived at a point now where it's a very easy and simple way of eating.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really even make bean burritos all that much anymore.
When we have company, when we have the family over, which is, we have a nice sized family. We have 7 grandkids, and that would make 3 children and their spouses, and we get together a lot. And what we do, the go-to meal is bean burritos. And Mary will make the beans. Do you make them in the rice cooker? You do, don't you?
I make them in my slow cooker.
In your slow cooker. And then we have lettuce and tomatoes and various kinds of salsas and rice. So when our daughter-in-law, Craig's wife, many of them have met her, Mika McDougall, MD, family practitioner. When she's over, she makes a special rice when puts some kind of
tomato sauce and seasonings, cumin and things like that.
And we'll also have some guacamole. Again, none of our family members really need to lose weight. Guacamole is a little bit of fat. I did mention a rice cooker. So I know you didn't bring one out, but the rice cooker is a pretty big deal, isn't it, for people?
It is for people, but and there are so many different kinds. I have one that's called a.
Do they make any that are not Teflon coated?
Yeah, I have a one that's ceramic.
Okay, so there is one.
Yeah.
We try and avoid the Teflon. We've used it for years because I've never seen anybody die of Teflon poisoning, even though it is a poison.
Right.
But I see people die of fat poisoning all the time. You know, we didn't have the alternative until now. We have these ceramic pans, so we don't recommend Teflon anymore. In fact, it was just an alternative because we had no other options in the past for a nonstick ware. But now we have the ceramic, so you want to get that.
Right. Right. And you really have no problem using the microwave, do you?
No. But we don't cook in it. That's in our cooking style. We really don't cook in it.
No.
What we do is just warm things, like we warm the rice or warm the water for Dr. McDougall's soups, which we will often have for lunch. Not that I'm trying to advertise them; they're not Dr. McDougall's perfect soups or foods. They're Dr. McDougall's right foods, and they're the best cup package type of meal that you can find on the market. If you're expecting perfection, then you have to do it at home. You really do.
Right.
Or find a great restaurant that's compliant.
Which
But
is
when
not
you
easy.
talk about rice cookers, supposedly in this Instant Pot, it also cooks rice and has a stainless steel interior. So you don't really need to buy an extra rice cooker. You just buy one of these.
It really is a wonderful appliance. It really does everything in one.
Yeah.
I recommend. Mary, can you tell us a little bit about what are the things that you keep on a regular basis in your food pantry? Things that you just cannot go without.
I always have potatoes. I always have cooked rice in the freezer. I always have, or other cooked grains in the freezer. I always have dried beans.
I was going to say, if you looked in our pantry, which is a very sizable room, you would find a shelf that has probably 10 different kinds of dried beans and peas on the shelf that she uses.
I always have canned tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I always have some cans of cooked beans that have no oil or salt or anything added to them, just in case.
And the cans, do they shellac coat them? Or
they do. They have some kind of a coating inside so that
you don't get tin or lead poisoning, or not lead poisoning anymore, but that used to be a problem with cans. So it protects them from the metal. And a lot of the things we have are also in jars. And we also always have sriracha sauce.
Always have sriracha.
You could eat cardboard.
Yeah, it makes it.
If you think your meal isn't tasting good, there are two things you can do. One is add salt to the surface of the food, unless you are one of those rare salt-sensitive people. And you can always add sriracha. You can make anything if you like that kind of flavoring. Tastes good with sriracha, or maybe there's another flavoring you might like.
Well, I mean, I always have this seasoning mixture in my pantry.
Right.
I always have greens, except right now I have greens growing in my garden, so I don't have to buy them.
They'd be in the refrigerator.
They'd be in the refrigerator. We always have bananas.
Yeah, I was going to say, we also have fruit. Right now, raspberries are in season, so Heather just brought us this. Heather's our daughter, and most of you know that, who runs all the programs. She's not really a child anymore. She's 40 plus years old. She brought us the raspberry bushes.
No, blackberry.
Blackberry bushes
from their yard.
Yeah, and they're having some of their fruit trees come in. We have an apple tree. We have a tangerine tree. We have a fig tree that doesn't bloom because it doesn't get enough sun. So we have loquats. We have so many loquats. Please, if you could send me a box, I would send you a dozen loquats. We have so many loquat trees in our yard.
Oh, that is wonderful. Yeah.
So we have quite a bit of fruit in our diet. It's just randomly added.
Right.
It's not usually part of a meal like a dessert, which it could be for you, but it's something, a walk-by food we just grab and eat. And so I would say, maybe 10% of our diet is fruit every day, just because it's there and it's something to snack on.
Right.
And dried fruits would work too. They're not great for losing weight, but that would work for you.
Exactly. Well, very good. Very good. This is very, very useful. And people are asking things about, for example, how to find a dietitian that is plant-based. I don't know if you have any
Physician that's
suggestions.
No,
plant-based.
dietitian.
Dietitian don't.
Dietitian.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need that. This is people ask about. I need to find a doctor who eats well. You don't want to find a doctor who eats well. You don't need that. You don't need that information. You've gotten all that information free from our website. Nobody's going to tell you anything different. The interesting thing about what I've been doing for 40 years now is no one has ever questioned, to me personally, that I can recall, ever questioned anything I've said in terms of nutrition or medicine. Behind my back, they may say lots of things. They've never questioned the adequacy of the diet nor the recommendations I give you on conservative medical care. I would ask you to find if you need to have a doctor, which hopefully you don't, but to find a doctor who is very conservative about recommending tests and treatments, and somebody you can talk to, and that it doesn't have a rude attitude about, hey, wait a minute, when did you go to medical school? I'm the doctor here. You don't want that kind of a relationship. As far as a dietitian, I can't think of any reason you'd need a dietitian unless you had something special wrong. Like, for example, if you had kidney disease, you'd want to have a renal dietitian. But unfortunately, I have never met a renal dietitian who knew anything proper about how to feed a kidney patient. So that's the problem. There are some good dietitians out there that are general dietitians, which teach a similar message to what we do. Jill Newsonow is one, and you could probably think of Heaver.
Oh, Julianne Heaver.
There are some good dietitians out there. In fact, there are more and more coming, and more physicians who are good physicians that are understanding proper nutrition and conservative medical care. But as far as learning something new or special about what you need, you're a human being. Human beings have a diet. It's a starch-based diet of fruits and vegetables. Just like if you had a dog, you could look up on the internet what dogs are supposed to eat. There's probably a little disagreement.
Yeah,
but
there's a little disagreement.
And the cats. I know there's a good diet for cats. It's called dead animals, and dogs are omnivores. I'm pretty sure of that. So you could probably feed them all your leftovers and your neighbor's leftovers. They pretty much can eat anything. Well, anyway, I can tell you that I believe, and have not changed my mind, and I think that's to my credit. For 40 years, I teach the same thing. You're supposed to eat starch, vegetables, and fruit. That's it. You can get away with some treats once in a while. Most of you can, and you choose your own poisons. As far as the treats, you don't need a dietitian to choose how
to choose them for you.
But if you have any special needs, and again, probably a renal dietitian for somebody with kidney failure, if they were well trained, can do you a lot of good. I wouldn't give you any different diet for type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes or atherosclerosis, angina or plugged arteries. I wouldn't give you any different diet for cancer. It would be something like when you were on a dialysis machine or really had that severe kidney failure. Well, no, that's not. I would correct that a little bit. If you had very severe heart failure, I think you could get some good counseling about eating lower protein and lower salt. But these, again, are things that are on the website. If you just go to search and you put in kidney disease, there's a whole article I did on diet and kidneys, and you probably get enough information from that and then share it with a dietitian and see if it all applies to you.
Right.
We have a list, I think, on our website of people that have registered that are plant-based, and so you can actually check out in your area doctors that are plant-based.
Well, we have two lists. We have one list of people who have taken the starch certification course. And so we give them a certification certificate that says they've taken the course. It doesn't mean that they're practicing that kind of medicine or, they're going to do what Dr. McDougall and Mary McDougall suggest you should do, but they have at least read the material and passed a test that says that they know what we would believe. And then we have another list of doctors in communities around the world on the site, and they are doctors that have been recommended by other people, not by us, but doctors that they found in their city that that they particularly liked for one reason or another, because they were conservative, they were nice, they wore well-tailored suits. I don't know.
No,
but they're not recommended.
no, but they tell what kind of a physician they are and whether they are plant-based.
What their
or-
experience has
Yeah.
been. So you can get a little bit of help in terms of direction, but don't take either of these lists as us certifying that they're going to practice the medicine that we suggest. The only way that you can get the kind of medicine that we suggest is you can come to the 10-day program. You know, that's where I and Dr. Anthony Lim practice medicine, who you're going to have on in a couple of weeks. But the 28th, I think Dr. Lim will be on.
Yeah.
I have a great experience with Dr. Lim. So other than the two of us at our clinic, and I suppose I have to support my son,
You do.
Craig.
Right,
He would give me
exactly.
great advice. Let me just make a mention here, now that we're talking about other doctors that I've had the chance to be of some influence on. We're going to have the advanced study weekend, which I think is the 16th, 18th of September.
I think so, yes.
And you want to sign up for the advanced study weekend, because I'm going to do a special thing. I'm going to have four physicians, younger doctors. People say, what's going to happen to you when you get old, which I think happened, and when you die, which fortunately is not close. I've had a chance to train 4 doctors who I can tell you are great physicians. They're young doctors. They're not directly Tom Campbell, but he's learned a lot from me. That's T. Colin Campbell's son. He's going to be at the advanced study weekend. Matt Letterman, who works in Los Angeles and works with Whole Foods and has a medical clinic in Los Angeles based with Whole Foods. Matt Letterman will be there. Anthony Lim, who works with me and also at True North. And I can assure you, Dr. Lim, even though there are a few things the old man still has to teach him, is a really good doctor. And also Craig McDougall, my son, likewise, I've had a great influence on him. So those 4 young doctors are going to be there, along with their fathers, who are physicians, or in the case of Tom Campbell, it's T. Colin Campbell, who's the world's greatest nutritionist. So we're going to have the 4 of them present at the advanced study weekend a lecture, which will be very interesting. I've heard the lectures; they're phenomenal. So these 4 young doctors are going to be talking on Saturday afternoon, and then we're going to be having a general discussion where the dads, myself, T. Colin Campbell, Steve Letterman, and
Who was a cardiologist.
cardiologist. He's a cardiologist, by the way, who was on our Alaska trip, and I gave my lecture on cardiology. And he's an interventional cardiologist, Dr. Letterman's dad. And when I got done, I said, well, I know I presented this lecture with enthusiasm, but I said, tell the audience, did I say anything that's incorrect? Which are the things that I've told you, that this intervention cardiology in chronic disease does not save lives, and half the people who go to the hospital for non-cardiac problems, surgical, before they have surgery, they have stents put in. And I talked all about that Alaska trip, and Steve Letterman, MD, cardiologist, the audience asked him, is what Dr. McDougall said true? And he said, yep, it's true. Anyway, he'll be there along with Dr. Lim's dad, who is I think, OBGYN doctor, but they're all physicians. We're going to take in that discussion, and we're going to give a little presentation about what we think about our sons, and then we're going to grill them.
Oh,
That ought to be really interesting, and we're going to do that on Saturday afternoon. We're also having Susan Roberts, who's a PhD, and she works for Tufts. She works for their well, she has a lot of credentials, but her research is on aging and also on various kinds of diets. Susan Roberts is going to be there. She's talking on Saturday morning. And then we have John Mandrola, MD, who's a cardiologist who has great interest in nutrition, but he also has interest in atrial fibrillation and other cardiac diseases. I mean, this is a really top-notch, world-famous cardiologist, so he'll be there in the morning. And Then Dean Ornish will be speaking on Sunday. And let's see. Oh, Nelson Campbell of Plant Nation.
Yeah.
So
think I remember.
Nelson Campbell will be there speaking on all the wonderful work he's doing in the new documentary. And that's our list of speakers for the Advanced Study Weekend. I encourage you to sign up early. I have no doubt that it will sell out as they always do.
We really need to tell people that they can sign up for this on your website,
Right.
drmcdougall.com. And to remind everyone that last week we did a webinar with you, Dr. McDougall, talking about all the free benefits on your website, because people are asking questions here. I see a lot of questions, but most of the questions here are already answered on your website. If they use the search function there, they will find just about everything. It's like the Instant Pot.
It is.
You find everything there.
The search function is fabulous. You just type, hit the search button and a little box pops up.
It's great.
And you put in what you want to know and you get the answer.
Right.
Plus, you can also watch last week's webinar for free on the website.
Right.
Yeah. Where we discussed how to search the whole website.
Yes, that's what I wanted to encourage people to go to last week and see that, because that was a great webinar. There's a lot of benefit there. Dr. McDougall, a quick question about someone asking, what do you suggest for someone who has low iron levels?
Well, the first thing you want to do about low iron levels is you want to make sure you're not bleeding. Some people have bleeding from the bowels that they don't notice. Women in their reproductive years can have excessive bleeding from the uterus. And if you have bleeding post-reproductive years, post-menopause, that's always of concern. So you want to make sure you don't have a source of bleeding, number one, and make sure there's not an underlying problem that needs to be treated. And the second thing that causes anemia, the second most common thing, particularly in children, is cow's milk. It's called Heiner's syndrome. It accounts for most of the anemia in children. What happens is the calcium and phosphorus in the milk complexes iron from other foods like green beans or beef, and it forms insoluble complexes, so they don't absorb the iron. And also the cow's milk causes bleeding in the intestine in the child. And you can't cure it unless you take the kid off the milk. You can give them iron pills, you can give them blood transfusions. It's incurable. We've known about this for maybe 100 years. It's a reaction to cow's milk. And so, of course, no kid should be consuming cow's milk. You know that. And that's the second thing you ought to think about in a child or an adult as a cause of anemia. There's also runner's anemia, or we don't know exactly what the cause is. Maybe by hitting the pavement with your feet, you rupture the red blood cells. And sometimes runners become anemic. That would be low iron. You'd end up with low iron. And as far as taking iron supplements, I almost never prescribe iron supplements. I look for the cause. The diet that we teach is high in iron and becomes very absorbable, the iron does, because of the ascorbic acid that's present with our citrus fruits. So you get all the iron you need from the food. You don't need any particular supplementation. There are, of course, always exceptions where you might find, I can't think of any right now, but you might find a need to add extra iron. You're going to suffer from constipation and black stools from it. And iron is an oxidant. So taking iron chronically may increase the risk of heart disease and possibly other oxidant-related diseases. Just to add a thought, which I really, how I get carried away, but one of the beliefs as to why women have less heart disease during their menstrual years is because they chronically lose iron in their periods. And the other thing that has been noted is that people who give blood transfusions or blood donors, they have less heart disease. Now that could be because blood donors are more conscientious people who pay more attention to everything in life, including their diet. But that has been the reason given for why some people have less heart disease, is because they constantly lose iron. because iron's an oxidant. Antioxidants prevent heart disease. Just a little theory that may or may not be true, but I think is interesting.
Very interesting, yes. And I want to ask you a question about social life, because this is one topic that we're going to talk about next week with Dr. Doug Lyle.
Social life? What's that, Mary? We have no social life.
Yeah.
We have each other. We have the kids.
Why bother? Well, people here are asking what happens when this way of eating is hurting their social life, or they get negative reactions from people. That's exactly what we're going to talk about next week with Dr. Lyle, and he has some great suggestions. But what is your experience?
Do you want to start on that, Mary? Because we have discussed this in great detail, even though, like I say, Mary and I spend most of our time with our family, and we're really busy working. Our social life is mainly with our coworkers and our patients. Our patients become our friends. And we have a few other friends on the outside, but
most of them eat the same way we do,
or they expect us to eat that way.
You have to admit, nobody is going to invite Dr. McDougall and his wife over to their house for dinner and not serve them something that we could eat. So unfortunately, we don't run into that same problem that other people do. But we do hear about it a lot at the program, because people focus so much on food, and their social situation. It's
rude to not, it's just be invited over to somebody's house and refuse to eat what they serve.
Yeah.
It would be very hard for us, to go over to somebody's house and have them serve pork chops. I wouldn't eat it. I don't know how I'd deal with it, but fortunately, I don't have to. Some of the things that we've talked about in the past is to inform people, friends, look, this is the way we eat. It's doctor's orders. I'll die, which is true if I eat the other way. So I realize you would like to have us over for dinner, but instead, could we just get together for some type of beverages or some other activity that didn't involve food, unless we can tell you what we do eat, or you would allow us to bring over a dish and share. You can do that always at potlucks. When people go to potlucks who follow our diet, whatever dish they bring, they always tell us that's the first dish gone in the potluck.
It's true.
So you can do that. If they're really friends, they're going to respect you for your health issues. If they're not really friends,
well, they tend to feel threatened.
That's true. People feel threatened by you think you're better than I am. I think you have to have some frank discussions with them, or you're going to have to say, well, this is the night I eat pork chops. What can I say?
Yeah, right.
Most likely you won't die from one evening at eating fried chicken. I personally would find it repulsive to do. It'd be, it's something that I would find disgusting, like asking me to eat. I'm not going to say what something nice. Asking me to eat a dog.
Right.
That would be the thing. If I was in some other parts of the world and I went over to somebody's house for dinner, they would serve a dog. Or when we went to Peru, we took a group to Peru. Guinea pigs. There were guinea pigs running all over these people's houses. And I said, well, why do you keep all these guinea pigs? Well,
wow. We eat them.
So there are a lot of things that I think you can relate to as being disgusting too, that you wouldn't want to eat.
Right.
We just got back from Alaska to eat a whale. To eat a whale, that would be so ethically and morally repulsive to me. But there are other people today in Japan and other parts of the world that eat these animals.
Right.
So you have to, I guess, deal with it from your own personal point of view. One other big hint I would give you is if you're invited over to somebody's house for dinner or out to dinner, eat first.
Yeah,
being hungry
true.
is a hard thing to do when you're presented with food that you may not have gotten over completely. So if you eat a nice big meal before you go out with friends or over to their house, you can kind of pick around the salad and the potatoes and not make too big a deal about it.
Right. Yeah, those are really good suggestions. Like I look forward to hearing Dr. Lyle next week because
he has some great ideas.
he has a great idea. So everybody go to the website and register for next week. You will really enjoy that. And Dr. McDougall and Mary, we're getting close to the end of the webinar. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else. Otherwise, we'll just close.
Let's see. As always, I'd like to tell you about our activities.
Yes, please do.
We've emphasized over and over again, everything you need is free on the website. Recipes, instructions, all of the things that I know about in terms of disease, conservative therapy, screening, and so on. It's all free. So there's really no financial excuse for you not doing what we suggest, including all the webinars and lectures that I've done and our guests have done. They're all free on the website. But we also run programs where we get a chance to make friends, make new friends. We had so much fun with these these people in Alaska. I know that if you talk to every one of them, that they would say that John and Mary McDougall are our friends. And this is usually we draw out the nicest people and bring out the best in them. But occasionally there's somebody who comes who's not a very happy person, and they spread that unhappiness. But we didn't have one of those on this past Alaska trip. I do want you to know that we have a trip into going to Kauai in January, the end of January.
End of January, January 28th.
And I do know that you sold out of rooms.
I've sold out of rooms 3 times already, and usually when I call the hotel, they say, well, we have a couple more rooms, but we're getting close to the limit. So if you're interested in going.
Yeah, now's the time to sign up, not to wait till September. And the reason we're going back to Kauai, the Sheraton, is because they did the best food we've ever had, and we've been doing these type of adventure trips. We've been doing it for almost 30 years. And the best food ever served at any adventure trip was the Sheraton Kauai.
Last year.
What town is it in?
Poipu.
And the beach, phenomenal. The beach right next door is the most beautiful beach. And we have a lot of adventures planned, garden trips, flume trips, canopy trips. Kayaking. Okay. And you'll find that the nicest people there. There's over 90 coming.
I think so, over 90 so far.
We'll probably have 100, 110 people there, and you'll make new friends, and you will not feel like it's crowded or impersonal because of the nature of the people there and the staff that we have. We've had trips as many as 150 people. So we'll likely have 100, 110 people coming. But Mary's going to, is just to the point where she's about to run out of room. So we want you to know about the Kauai trip. We have an August 10-day program where Dr. Lim and I see all the patients. But I have no plans on not seeing the patients, but we've added a tremendous amount in terms of physician care by adding Dr. Anthony Lim to the program. People think that somehow we lessened the program by adding another doctor. I have no doubt everybody who's been to the program, both with me alone or with me and Dr. Lim, or just had the experience with Dr. Lim, would say it was an amazing, well, you know Dr. Lim.
Yes. Oh, yes. Wonderful.
So we have a program in August. I don't know what the date is, but it's a 10-day program. It's the last 10-day program we have until December.
Until December, yes.
The reason is we're doing a whole bunch of private programs for businesses. We weren't able to schedule public programs.
In October.
September, October, and November.
Well, September we have the advanced study.
Right, but there's no 10-day programs.
No 10-day.
There's no medically supervised programs where we take you off, you offer all your unnecessary drugs and give you all the personal attention you want. The only one is in August or next December. Otherwise, we're tied up with a couple of big businesses and running programs for their employees. And then we have the advanced study weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Well, wonderful. Yeah, that's a lot of activities.
Mary and I are busy every month. We're, in addition to having fun with the webinar and writing the newsletter and writing books. And
now I'm going to learn how to use my Instant Pot.
Not the Instant Pot, yes. Dr. McDougall, let me take just a couple of seconds here to show people really quick the website Let's see if I can show it here, because people are asking about the Mary's Mini. And I just want them to know that we did a whole webinar on Mary's Mini. And Mary, unless there is a change or an addition to the way that Mary's Mini work.
Not since we did the webinar.
Okay, look, everybody, right here, you go to Education, Live with Dr. McDougall's online webinars. And then here are all the webinars that we have done. And one of these here, I just don't want to.
I see it. 3/24/16.
Okay, right there, everybody. Mary's Mini. If you click on that, we did a whole webinar on that topic, and so I just don't want to have to repeat this same thing.
Right. There's also, they can put in the search engine. They can probably put in Mary's Mini diet. They can also go to hot.
They can, but Mary's Mini, the webinar is much better.
Well, that's because it had you live.
Right, it had you in it. But so
there's also a, if you go to Hot Topics and you look under nutrition and obesity, it's listed there. It's very easy to find. Essentially, it's just a monotonous diet that's very nutritionally adequate, and it appeals to some people because it's simple, it's monotonous, it feels like a diet to them,
right?
Rather than a lifestyle program. It's something they're doing to get really quick results.
Right. So it's meant to be for a short period of time, right?
Well, it was written for that in mind, but it's very nutritionally adequate, and you can do it forever.
Very good, very good. So no major changes that you would add, Mary, to.
No,
it's just the McDougall diet, simplified.
Simple, really simple.
To the point of boredom and monotony.
Okay.
But people there are a lot of people who like that.
Right. Yeah.
Let me put it this way: you can live on sweet potatoes and water, and you figure out what's really going on, or potatoes and water, or you can't eat grains and legumes alone. You have to add a little bit of fruit, a little bit of vegetable. But underground storage organs, roots, those kinds of things, tubers, you can live on those and water alone. They're perfectly adequate in terms of all your nutrients, except for B12, which is a whole other subject we can do someday.
Right. Well, thank you again. This has been just very fun to be with you. I feel like I've been there in the same room with you. So it's been great. And I look forward to 2 weeks from today to see you, Dr. McDougall.
Yes, I think I'm going to do. Well, we already decided what we're decided. We're going to do a thing on abuse of patients and abuse of children.
Yes.
We're going to do that. And then in a couple weeks after that, the next newsletter I'm going to write on is going to be about colon cancer screening. At least that's what I plan right now.
All right.
Start until for a week or two, but I think I'm going to do an update on colon cancer screening for the newsletter, and then we'll do that sometime in the future. We'll do a webinar on that. But we're going to do a talk about how the medical profession abuses people. In general, there are exceptions, and also how society in general abuses children.
Yes.
Civilized people care for their children. In our society, our children are obese and sick, and I'm going to probably be in my usual form.
Yeah, so this is going to be a very passionate.
Unapologetic.
No, right. There is no apologetics when it comes to taking care of our kids. And that also touches me because I've been working with kids almost all my life, and it's outrageous. Next week, we have Dr. Lyle. So everybody will see you then. And we'll see you, Dr. McDougall, in 2 weeks. And thank you again, Mary, for gracefully
thank you.
accepting
Bye-bye.
to do
Thank you,
this.
Gustavo. It was a good time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.